welcome to At America TV. My name is Aninda. I'm one of the e-guides here at America. It's real nice to see you all. We hope you all doing well and staying safe. For those of you who just joined us for the first time, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. For this episode, we'll be having Building Strong CVs or Resumes for U.S. University Applications. But before we begin, let's break the ice with a little game. The question is, true or false, GPA stands for Grade Point Average? If you know the answer, you can start answering through our social media, comment through our social media, and in the end of the event, we will do a live shout out for those of you who can guess the answer correctly. And also, I would like to let you know, as the 10th year anniversary of At America, and also this month, we are celebrating the diversity of the United States of America and also Indonesia. We are holding an activity with a giveaway. The giveaway is an iPad Pro. If you are interested to know, you can stay tuned until the end of the program because that's when I will let you know how to do so. All right, without further ado, I will introduce our moderator, Santika Salim, EducationUSA at America Advisor. Mbak Santika, the time is yours.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to Education USA at America event. I hope you have such a great evening today, and thank you for spending it with me and Fina. So, welcome everyone. If this is your first time, my name is Santika. I am one of the Education USA advisor at America. We are located in Jakarta. We are in one of the mall in Jakarta, in South Jakarta. So, ever since this pandemic happened, we moved to a whole online platform. So that means we also do advising from online platform, and I will share the details soon. But tonight we will talk about CV and resume, and this is especially useful if you are going to apply for graduate school in the United States. All right, without further ado, I will give you the introduction, and we can talk more in the chat box. So, hi everyone, welcome again. So if you're watching us from Zoom, we will be able to interact better in the Zoom chat box. But if not, feel free to watch us from all other platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Live, and Twitter as well. So this is what I was mentioning about. It's our advising. It's one-on-one and it's online now via Zoom. The ID is 276-124-396. And there are two advisors in Education USA at America Jakarta. There's me, Santika, and there's Fina, my colleague, and I will introduce you to her soon after I finish this. And our advising hours is on daily basis, so from 1 until 9 p.m., except on, of course, days like this when we have events on the evening because we have to prepare for the event. And nobody will be able to be in the Zoom room because both advisor will be here, okay? So, you can email us if you don't feel like, coming into Zoom directly and you're a bit shy. You can email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. And this is our upcoming events. We have writing a statement of purpose for U.S. grad school application with us, of course. And this is our monthly event along with this event tonight, which is the Building CV. And we used to have them together with the letters of recommendation, but we decided to kind of split them because I think it's better to have an in-depth discussion. So on June 16, we will have the how to write statement of purpose. So if you are planning to apply for, say, fall 2022 intake, this is the perfect time for you to start writing your essay and learn it from us directly, okay? And next one will be on the June 22nd. It's applying to U.S. grad school and what and when to prepare. So if you have the plan but you don't know where to start, you don't know how to, plan your strategy and everything, then this is, the right event for you to come in. Fina and I will discuss on, how you can start, the tips and tricks, and how you research on things that you want to find and what are your constraints. So if you are applying for scholarship, then you may want to approach it differently from if you are talking about you are going to self-funding. Okay. So next one this month will be letter of recommendation for U.S. university applications, the do's and don'ts. It will be on the next day after, the June 23rd, same time, 7 until 8:30. This is for all of you who have struggle or questions on how to get the best letter of recommendation for your U.S. application. Whether you are high school students or you are graduate applicants, I think this will help you in terms of asking for letter of recommendation. But for this this usually will be together with tonight's event, which is the CV and resume, but we will try to have a more in-depth discussion starting this month. That's why we kind of separate it. So we look forward for all of you who wants to learn more on letter of recommendation to come into this event as well. Okay. So you can check all of these upcoming events and register for them in our website, atamerica.org.id/educationusa, or you can just go to the AtAmerica website and then click the Education USA tab separately and scroll to the most bottom of the page, and you will see the event. You can choose which event you want and everything like that. All right. So without further ado, I will introduce you to my colleague. Vina, okay. In a short time, because then we will try to go on this. Okay. So our topic today is building strong CVs, resumes for U.S. university application, and we will start with this. So today we will present, both of us will present, which is unusual because usually Fina will be the one who do the presentation or I will do the presentation. So it's just one of us, and then another advisor will be in the Zoom chat box to help with questions and everything like that, and in the Q&A section. But today we decided to make it a very active collaboration in the presentation part. So I will present and Fina will also present when she is ready. So I will start with this. Okay, so before you do anything when you want to apply to US universities, make a list of requirements. Okay, so this is what Fina and I have listed down, and this is general. Okay, most US universities will ask for these or more than this. So if you see here, we list 1 until 6, but they are not in the order of which one is more important. So it doesn't mean that TOEFL is the most important and statement of purpose is not important. So these 1 until 6 listing is just random. It's just a list. Okay, all of them are important, equally important, and actually statement of purpose or essay is really, really important. Okay. So the first one is TOEFL or IELTS, basically English proficiency test. These days, they also have another option for you, like Duolingo English test or other things that they can accept. So you may want to check again. And then the second one is the college transcript. So you want to be ready with the official one, the one that is enveloped and sealed and stamped from your previous university. And the third one is actually CV or resume, which is what we are going to talk about today, very detailed later on in the presentation. And letters of recommendation and GRE or GMAT if you're applying for a graduate, but if you're applying for undergrad, then it's SAT or ACT. Okay, statement of purpose or personal essay. So all of these things are very, very important, and you have to do your best in each of this document. Okay, you don't want to just focus on one thing or two things and thinking that, okay, the most important thing is my grade, which is the GPA, and that was in the past. You cannot do anything about it. So you need to focus on things that you can improve on top of your college transcript, which happened like maybe years ago, right? Let's say you graduated years ago. So you need to focus on things that you can improve, which is the rest of the things here, right? The TOEFL or IELTS, CV, resume, letters of recommendation, even though you are not the one who will write it, but you can do certain things that you can ensure you get the best letter of recommendation. Okay? And after that, you need to also make sure that you start early. Okay, this is the whole idea why we always make this event monthly, along with the essay and then the letter of recommendation as well. And to get to know more on why letter of recommendation, you can actually do things to help your recommender write something better for you. You will need to learn how to do it in our event. Okay. All right. Here is the CV and resume for grad school. Um, they're used for individuals who seek fellowship, grants, and postdoctoral position or PhD, teaching or research position in post-secondary institution or high-level research position in the industry. So it's basically CV and resume not only being used to apply for jobs, as we know, but it's also used if you want to apply for, let's say, teaching or research assistantship, any scholarship, like let's say LPDP or Fulbright. They will require you to submit your CV, although it may or may not in the US template, like what we will talk about today. Okay. And they usually ask for CV, but they're looking for a resume that includes publication and description of your project. So we will talk about the content or section that you will have to have, which is mandatory and which are not. Okay, it all depends on your program that you're applying to. So the mandatory will depends on that as well. And U.S. university generally take a very holistic approach to evaluate applicants. So that's why all of the six items are very important because they all will contribute to the holistic um, evaluation of the U.S. University admission. Okay, and we go into the CV and resume. What are the difference? Um, Here is the CV. It's curriculum vitae. It means course of life in Latin, over 2 or more pages. So CV can go over more than 2 pages, and it is a high level detail of your achievement, not just your career history. This is basically like everything, but you will realize if you use your CV to apply to the U.S. university, you may want to omit a lot of things. So you don't want to put in your primary school, your high school, and you don't want to have too much details there because it will go over too many pages, and it covers your education, teaching, research experience, publication, awards, presentation, honors, and additional details. We'll talk more about that as well. Full history of academic credentials. So when we talk about full history of academic credential, it will um, counter my statement just now that you don't want to include your high school history or your primary school. But trust me, you don't want to use those details to apply to graduate schools, especially because then it will be just far too long ago and it will not contribute to how they evaluate you anymore. They will only need your latest degree, which is your bachelor, or if you have any AA or D3 di Indonesia, then you can put that in. Okay, and it's static; it doesn't change for a different position. So, different position mean if you are applying for different role or different school or different program, this shouldn't change. And this should serve as your how do I say it? It's kind of like your own record. It's like your database, so that you can the one that you can edit and choose to pick and choose later on. Okay. And next one is the resume. It means summary in French. It is a concise document. It's usually not longer than 1 pages. Typically in the U.S. university admission, they will ask no longer than 2 pages. And it is a summary, of course, because it is what it means, right? Summary of experience, education, and skills. It is intended, for skimming. So the readers or the one who will evaluate this will not, read this very long. So the goal is to make it stand out. So you want to make, if you need to make it compact, like 1 or 2 pages, you want to make sure you put everything the best to show you as an individual in your professional aspect, in your outside of work, outside of education aspect. So I'm talking about like your working experience, your education, and maybe if you have any community or volunteer experience. And it should adapt to every position or purpose the applicant is applying for. So then, if you see the difference here, CV will not change because it serves like your database or something that's constant, right? You will add more things, but you will not remove anything from CV, especially if it's for your own, right? And for resume, this is where you use your CV and then you pick and choose which one you want to highlight, which one you want to show off to the people who will read your resume from your CV. So resume is kind of like the short version or the best version, concise one from your CV. Okay. Okay. So here are the three major differences summarized: the length, the purpose, and the layout. So this is the major difference. Of course, CV have so much longer limitations and actually doesn't have actual limit on the length. But if you realize the requirements will ask for, even if they mention like attach your CV that's no longer than what 2 or 3 pages, then that's what they are looking for. It's a CV, but it's no longer than 3 pages. The purpose and the layout, and the purpose is usually for CV and resume for U.S. universities. It doesn't have that much difference in the purpose. Of course, they just want to know you from a different perspective, not only from your transcript, not only from your essay, but they also want to see what have you achieved at your workplace. What do you do, or what kind of community or things that you have done in the past for your community. And the layout is a bit different, and we'll talk about that after this. Okay. So CV will be long, covers entire career, and it's static, and resume will be short, adapt to the purpose, and highly customizable. Okay. And how different is it in Indonesia for CV and resume? I'm sure all of you here will think that how can CV and resume be different than Indonesia, than the US? They're just documents stating where you work, what have you done, where you have studied. How can it be different? But we will show you that it's going to be very, very different in Indonesia. Okay. This is the typical CV or resume that Vina and I could receive for our review session. So Education USA advisors here will be happy to review your CV or resume and your essays, but that is for another day to talk about. Today we will talk about CV and resume. Okay. So we can give you review or input on your CV or resume, and everything will be confidential. We will not share your CV or resume to anyone else, um, or just to show it on our event like this. No, we will keep it all to ourselves. Even if like you come to Education USA and you come to me for your CV review. I don't even share your CV file to FINA or like other advisors in Education USA. So that's how confidential it is. So you can rest assured that you are in a good hands. Okay. This is a sample of typical Indonesian CV. As you can see, there's a picture. There will be, let's say, personal data, which is your nationality, your gender, your marital status, date of birth, place of birth, um, and those part will not be necessary for US CV or resume at all. Like completely, you don't need those at all. Okay, and so okay, wait a second. I think I'm having. Guys, ini nge-freeze, guys. Okay, so I'm back. And this is the differences. Like I said, we don't need the personal data and we don't need the photo for our US CV resume. So, no picture, no religion, and no marital status. No other unnecessary information, for example, your hobbies, unless they ask for it, okay? Unless the university asks for it. Ini tadi saya sempat mati. Saya udah bisa. Thank you. So I will tell you why that is not necessary in the U.S. Because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the federal law that prohibits employer from discriminating against employee on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. And it also applies to private and public colleges and universities. So employment agencies and labor organizations as well. So because of this law, they will not need all of these things shown in your Indonesian CV or resume, because it will create a bias for them, so they don't want it in the CV or resume that is submitted to them. Okay, you want to make sure this is not what you submit to them, because it's very, very crucial. Okay, so we will go into the so let's talk about I'm going to open this at my end as well to talk about it better. This is the common to both of CV and resume. So both CV and resume will have a lot of similarities in it, and in terms of kind of like the things that you will include. So they will be in the US letter size and size 12 professional font. Ini tuh, makanya tuh. Udah boleh? All right, everyone. I'm back. I'm sorry for the interruptions of the technical issues. I think I left off at where I talk about this. Wait, I will share the screen again. Here we go. Share screen. All right. Hope you all can see this. So I think I left off here. So why the U.S. CV and resume do not ask for any of those, personal data, your gender, your race, your national origin, your religion? It's because they have this law, Civil Rights Act of 1964, that prohibits the employer of discriminating against employees on those bases of your sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. And it also applies to private and public college and universities. So that's why they don't ask for it. Okay. There you go. Now you can see my face as well. And we will go into in depth of these, the title and everything that you need to put into your CV and resume. So this will be very common to both CV and resume. I will show you, and you can see the difference actually from here. From the left, I think it will be resume. The left one is the resume because it is a lot shorter. As you can see, the name and the personal data is just very, very concise. Even with the spacing, it's very steady. And with the right one, it's the CV, so you can have a bit more space because you don't have a page limit or something like that, right? And the paper size should be in the US letter, and your contact information will be always on the top. Okay. For size of your font, it should be a 12, or if you have a font that looks professional but it looks a bit big on, if the size is 12, you can stick with maybe 11 or 10. But I don't ever see something that's less than the size of 10, because it will be just like too small, okay? And in terms of the background, it should be white or light cream, or if you print it, gray paper of good quality. So you don't want to go on different color for the background, or even if you print it out, you don't want anything, you don't want a fancy background color at all. All right, so next slide. Okay, so you can see the content is always in reverse chronological order. That means the most recent first. So on top there, it should be your current or your last working experience, and so does all of your education and all of your experiences. Okay, it's always in reverse chronological order for the whole document for both CV and resume. And there is no first person statement, so you don't want to use I. We is also going to be avoided as much as you can. Avoid subjects, so no I, you, we, they. Avoid all of those, and references will be at the end, but for US university application, because they already asked for a letter of recommendations, if your reference are the same as people who will give you letters of recommendation, we do not recommend you to put the reference as well. So you don't want to make it a double. And it's going to be optional if that's the case, okay? I mean, for all US university application, because they already asked for a letter of recommendation, references in your CV or resume will be optional unless they really state that you need to put in reference in your CV or resume, okay? All right, so this is the US resume. We just, this is like the non-cut version, and we just have the cut version here. So you can see here it is tailored to the need, okay, to the position itself, and it is only 1 until 2 pages. And this sample is actually from Michigan State University, and we will talk more about how you can find this kind of resources in my further presentation. And you can see, like what we have talked about, the contact information, educational qualification, professional experience, brief bulleted statements, specialized skills, and affiliations here. So education and professional experience, these two, so contact, education, and professional experience are mandatory, are included for the mandatory part of your CV and your resume. So this cannot go anywhere. Okay, it has to be there. And for ballot statements, usually it will be 3 ballots, 3 ballot points per one experience that you put in. So you can see here it's consistent, 3 or 4. It's 3 ballot point here. It's the rest of them are 3 ballot points. Okay, and you can add your skills and your affiliations, like I mentioned, if you want to show that you also have active engagement outside of your work and outside of your education institution. And this is the CV. You can see it's so much longer. You can always see it from the bullet point already. This one, the sentence is just longer, and one bullet point is just have a longer sentence, okay? As always, contact information on the top, and here you can, enter in each of this address and details, and always start with education, and you can add on your academic research and teaching experience, which is not your professional experience, that you can put in also after your academic research or teaching experience. But usually it really depends on what you are aiming for. If you're going to apply, you use that CV or resume for the teaching or research assistantship position application, then you want to put them on top there. But if it's only for your program application, and it's not research heavy, then you probably can just you can put them after your professional experience if you think that's a better highlight for you. And you can add in specialized skills and affiliations as well. Okay, and then we can move to here. And this is the continuation of the CV. This is, just as long as necessary. You don't have the limit on the pages, and you can add your publications and presentations. And I have seen a lot of my advisee also put in conferences if your job requires you to do or to attend conferences, or you are chosen to attend conferences. That's also a good thing to include, and especially if it's not in Indonesia. It shows that you have exposure to other cultures, which is good. And awards and honors and affiliations, specialized skills and references. Okay, so that's that. And we will talk about the content itself. So because I have seen, I think, quite much of CV and resume that has been submitted to me for review, I feel like there are a lot of common mistakes that I see from Indonesian students who wants to apply to U.S. universities, and I will summarize them. Not only mistakes, but like it's what you can improve and do better so that your CV and resume will be much more powerful. And here I will just check my time. I only have 30 minutes left, including Q&A, so I'll just speed this up. Okay. First one that you need to do is the consistency itself. So your contents of your CV and resume, it needs to be consistent. I give you an example here. You can see I spell out the April, but I abbreviated January to Jan only. And this is inconsistent because it will create, if the month is longer, like November, if you spell it out, it will be long. But then it will just create this ridge on the right side that is not pleasant to see, and of course it's just inconsistent. The whole thing with CV and resume, the key is being consistent, and it will help your readers so much if you are consistent and no spelling error or whatsoever like that. So just choose one style. If you want to abbreviate the month and the period, just abbreviate all of them. If you want to spell them out, just spell them out all. And you also want to make sure that you are consistent in the location. As you can see there, I just didn't highlight it because I think it will be okay for you guys to point out yourself. And the first one, I put in Jakarta, Indonesia, and the second one, I put it in just Indonesia. And you just want to make it consistent. You want, if you want to give out the city name, then just put the city name. Unless it's a city and a country like Singapore, then there's nothing you can do, right? You can just write Singapore because there's no city there. Okay, that's that for the consistency part. We will move to the quantifying. This is one of the common mistakes that I've seen in a lot of CVs and resumes that has been coming to me, is that they don't quantify enough on things that can be quantified. So quantify really literally means putting in numbers in all of your maybe achievements and working experience, or even in kind of like your research or your publication, because it matters, right? If you say you publish this to how many, let's say, websites, it matters. Like they want to know how big this publication is, right? And the only way to show them how big is your achievement or your contribution is by quantifying. That's why I give you an example here. Led and trained a team of 7 members, blah, 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 and then conducted at least 6 surveys for blah, blah, blah. And then you can see all of this number, okay, including like the nominal of the dollar or rupiah that you can handle. If it's not confidential, you can totally put that in. But there was once that one of the advisee come to me, mentioning target that is achieved at his or her workplace. But I said, can you quantify it? And he or she said, I cannot do that because it's confidential to the company. So you need to check. You need to make sure that you are not leaking out confidential information to other parties. Okay. okay, to outside parties. All right, next one is check your specific requirements. This is an example from Arizona State University, not to mention that there will be other universities or programs that will have specific requirements for their CV or resume in your application. Okay, so this is especially relevant if you are applying to business schools like MBA. Most of them will ask for a lot more details in your CV or resume. The very common one is like the length of your employment and also your salary. That's very common if you're going to apply to MBA, they will ask for that. Um, so this is from Arizona State University, the Carey School, WP Carey School of Business and job. So this really is specific saying your resume that you will going to submit should include a job title and position held, key responsibility and accomplishment, salary history, which is optional. But some of the other universities will not put the optional there. Okay, and you need to also include, let's say, computer skills, multilingual abilities, and overseas travel or work experience. This is unique because, like what I said, sometimes when you go for work or conference outside of Indonesia, it can count as your travel, and they can see that as an exposure to other cultures, which is a plus. Okay, and academic background, including school attended and degrees earned. Okay, and you can always go to official university US university website to check on their specific requirements. And actually, I will recommend you to research on everything from the official university website because sometimes third-party websites just as not as updated as the official website. Okay, so the fourth one is use powerful action words or verbs, and this is the same example as what I used in previous slide. So if you realize the words like led, trained, conducted, increased, managed, compiled, budgeted, and influenced, those are kind of like on themselves are already very powerful. Like, oh, you can do that. Like it shows that you have leadership skill. It shows that you are capable of managing and everything like that. So you need to use those kind of words in your bullet points. Okay, and this is how you can find powerful action words or verbs as an example, and this is also to show you what official resources is capable of. So this is actually from UT Austin. I found it last night, and I feel like this is such a good resource to share. So here it is. They are categorized under accomplishment, creative communication, helping, instructional, leadership, organization, or detail, research, and technical words. So you can just pick and choose what you want to use here. So they're very useful. Okay. Next. This is other official resources. You can actually try to just Google it, like Career Center. If you're applying to, let's say like Harvard Career Center or CV Resume, Harvard University, then they will pop up. Okay, this is just a few examples. Not all U.S. universities, and there are so many U.S. universities who give so much good resources. But maybe some of them are just not as easily accessible as if you are not their student, if you are not logged into their student portal or something like that. But most U.S. universities have this team of career center or writing center that usually have this kind of guidance on you to write. Okay, the last one is from State University of New York at Buffalo, and the right one is from University of Michigan. Um, on the um, on the left side, you can see that they have resume samples, and you can open each of those files. So you need to just go there and see for yourself. Okay, and on the University of Michigan, you can see the most interesting part on this one is actually the instant resume feedback. I haven't tried it, but it's like a portal on itself that you can upload your CV or resume. I'm assuming it's another kind of like program, like Grammarly or something like that, that helps you identify the keywords. It probably is just a program or like AI. So I haven't tried it. If anyone here have tried it, please let me know how good it is, okay? And if it's good, I can just refer my advices there, okay? And all of these resources, you can just access them without logging in as a student or application page or whatever. This is just on their website, just like this for everyone, okay? And this is my favorite one. This is actually from UIUC, University of Illinois at Urbana campaign. If you found this page, the grad.illinois.edu/careers/resumes, you can click on those sample resumes, and they have 8 pages of samples. So there are like 4 samples, and I think each of them are like about 1 to 2 pages or 3 pages. So yeah, you can totally just go there and then look for yourself which one is more suitable for you. But in terms of the content, like what I said, there are just mandatory things that you have to include, which is your contact information, your education, your professional experience, and your skills or your like volunteer community. But the top 3, those are the mandatory. So the rest of the things is not, if you don't have them, then you don't have to include them. Okay? And you can get one of the Education USA at America advisors to check on your CV or resume, as I have promoted many times in this presentation. There's Fina and me, and I actually prefer CV and resume on most days. So you can totally send it to me. I will provide my email address in the Zoom chat box if you're in Zoom. But if you're not in Zoom, my email is ssalim@educationusa.org. You can simply put in the CV or resume review request on the subject for the email, and attach your CV or resume in PDF file, because then we don't want them to shift around if you use other file. Just send it in the PDF and already in the US template. So no photos, no gender, no bio data and everything like that. And we just need it. It's already in the US template, and we will be happy to take a look at maybe what you can improve and how to make it stronger. Okay? All right. Now we will go to the Q&A. I will call Fina. Hi, Fina. Stop share here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Well, I should have asked you this in the very beginning, but again, I'm really sorry, guys. I was having a very technical issues.
Yeah.
But here I am. Thank you so much, Santika, for covering the whole presentation. The initial plan was actually me doing the first part and then Santika doing the technical aspect, because, and I said it in the chat during your presentation, Santika, that you are kind of like the go-to person now when it comes to resume and CV, and that's why I want you to kind of like cover in the technical aspect, because
Sure.
I feel like you're more expert in the resume more than I do, because, well, technically, guys, you can still go see me when it comes to like, hey, Fina, can you take a look at my resume and CV? But most likely I will tell you or offer you to go to Santika, because the way I look at resume, I just like to, because okay, I'm an essay person. Probably by now you guys already know that. I love reading essays to the point where I feel like, okay, when it comes to CV, let's do it like some other time, because sometimes people kind of like, hey, Fina, so I have my essay, I have my resume as well. Can you take a look at both? And I prefer, okay, let's just focus on essay first. And the reason, also another reason, is because when I take a look at your resume or CV, for me, the most important thing is kind of like the overall look. And Santika, as you guys can see from Santika's slides, Santika has been, like showing you guys the kind of like the overall look, the structure of what the resume and CV should look like. Because when Santika showed the comparison between the Indonesian CV and resume, between Indonesian resume or CV with the US one is so different, right? Like most of us here put our headshot and some kind of like a bio data in the very beginning, which we don't need that, and even like the look of the document itself is really different. And so for me, I just usually just take a look at the structure. As long as it's similar to the resume US standard, I basically just going to give you like the go, but I don't really actually read what is in it. And what is good about Santika is she's very like focused on like reading every little thing. And so, but have you mentioned, Santika, about, when someone wants their resume or CV to be looked at by us, they have to have the structure
Yeah,
corrected
yeah,
first? Okay, yeah,
yeah.
because
Already
we
in the US
sometimes,
template, guys.
yeah, we
Yeah.
sometimes laugh at this, right, Santika, because this is kind of like part of our monthly
Mm-hmm.
session on resume and CV, and then usually after the session ended, we received a lot of, well, not a lot, a number of email from people kind of, hey, thank you. I just joined your session.
Mm-hmm.
Please review my resume and CV. And during the session, we actually mentioned that
Yep.
when you want us to take a look at your resume or CV, when we are actually in a Zoom advising room with you guys, we only able to take a look at or giving you the review when you already changed the structure. And then sometimes there are still there's still people come to us and they still have the Indonesian version, and then we can't actually like move on because then, well, you gotta change it first, right? Like, the structure at least.
Yeah.
So
So I mentioned that they should be already in the US template. And if you don't know
mhm.
how to, convert it, you can, come for advising or email me or Fina or our center, and I can simply give you the reference, because then I only show you the screenshot. Sometimes a lot of people,
Yeah.
they couldn't even, kind of like, maybe they use different keywords, so different things pop up when you search for different things. So yeah, I can
hmm
totally share
and
that.
yeah and Yeah, and when you guys are trying to look for samples, it's very easy because we always use
Mhm.
Google as well, right, Santika?
Yes.
And it's always pop up a lot of universities, like what you had on your slides. The screenshot that you share with us is actually from a number of universities, right? And so
Mhm.
when you guys can also just type it on Google search, U.S. university resume sample or CV sample. You may want to specifically look for U.S. universities because if you go to just like
Yep.
samples of resume outside the US, it's all
It's so
similar.
different.
So this is like another reason
Mhm.
why the US is just like so different
Yes.
when it comes to resume, when it comes to essay. So, and yeah, that's why we are here to basically save your time so that
Mhm.
you already know the kind of like right documents that you guys want to prepare.
Yeah. I see we have two questions, Fina. Is it,
Mhm.
are all of them answered in the chat box, or
Not
should
yet,
we just talk
because
about them?
yeah, we got three, and
Okay.
then there are good questions. And I feel like I just want to wait until we do the Q&A session because it's really great questions, the three of them. So the first one is from Yana
Mhm.
Leone. Hi Yana, thanks for watching. I have a question about CV or resume. Should I translate the title, my academic journal, into English, or just put it in the CV or resume because the title of my journal is in Bahasa? It's a really good question because we definitely see a number of our advisees also have a number of academic journals. There is technically no some kind of like a rule, but the way I look at it is it's there's no point when we just put it in Bahasa because then they can't really understand what they're saying. And I'm imagining if we are coming from a country where they're not even using alphabet, right? Like maybe like in Japanese or something. Probably they can't like they have to use the characters with their language. And I feel like there's no use of doing that. So what I tell my advisees is yes, definitely we want to kind of like convert the title into English, or feel free to put the original language in Bahasa, and then you have next to it the English version, whichever you prefer. For me personally, I prefer just in English. I mean, even though you put the Bahasa in there, like they won't kind of like
Yeah.
understand anyway.
Mhm.
But it's based. It's up to you. It's up to you. So you have two options here: either just change it in English completely, or also provide the original language, which is in Bahasa,
Yeah.
next to each other.
Well, if
Mhm.
you have space, you can provide both language. But if
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
want to save space,
Yeah.
then yeah, just use the English
Mm-hmm.
version. And
Exactly.
before I forget, I want to mention that because the resources that I shared in the presentation is basically career center for the students
Mm.
of the university. So their target is not for, for you to apply to the university, but rather for their students to create their CV or resume and apply for job opportunities out there in the States. So I want you to keep that in mind, and some of the sections will not be applicable for you as the prospective students who want to apply to the university or the program. Some of them are tailored for the student to highlight their skills so that they can get the job. Okay, yeah. So next question. Let's see. We have from Betari Octavia in Zoom as well. Hi Santika, question regarding working experience. I'm now at management training program, hence I'm rotating to several roles with different tasks and different division, still within the same company. Can you advise how to put the achievements concisely into the resume, since the achievements will differ as well based on the role? Okay, so what happens if you have different position in the same company is that you just write the company name one time on top, and then your latest role and the period of time, and then bullet point of your achievements of that role, and then move on to your next role, your previous role in that company as well, and bullet point again. And don't forget to put the period as well on your previous role, because that's necessary. It shows that, oh, you step up. Okay. I hope
So
that answers.
I think that's like a really good question, because I don't know about you, Santika, but I actually see a number of my advisees have that situation, right?
Yeah.
And then some of them actually keep mentioning the same company over and over again, right? And then it just doesn't look appealing in a way, because it just seems like I'm reading something over and over again. So yeah, I completely agree with Santika. That's exactly the answer that I'm basically going to share with you guys as well. So just put one name of that company, and then you kind of make a sub points like what Santika mentioned, and then the latest position on top, and then keep going on as usual, as in like your responsibility, your achievements, and what have you.
All right.
Good
I
question.
think I'm going to ask the question to Fina for the next one. It's from Trisina in Zoom. Hello, for employment history section, do we need to put only roles that relate to the major that we are planning to take? Okay, Fina.
This is actually a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're joining from the beginning. Siapa namanya? Trisina.
Trisina.
But in the beginning, when Santika just basically shared the only 2 slides explaining about resume or CV, there are some part where basically Santika is saying that resume is basically you want to keep adjusting the content depending on what you're going to use the resume for. So it really depends. To answer your question, it really depends. Wait, ini pertanyaannya resume atau okay? So you don't specify if it's resume or CV, but let's say the university only asks you for a resume, right? So if that's being the case, meaning that we only have 1 page limit, right? Two pages maximum, but please try your best to actually limit that to 1. So that being the case, technically you will want to put your employment history that is related to the major that you want to do, if you have that same kind of like field. Because we also understand, right? Just in case you guys don't know, when it comes to studying in the US, there are a number of majors where they allow you to actually have, a non-linear type of, work experience. So for example, like MBA, right? Everyone can do MBA. You don't have to have a business background, and then you can still do MBA. And the way I look at the resume of the CV, there are people who may not have any business experience in their resume, right? But then again, like if you happen to have working experience related to the major that you want to do, and then the university is asking for a resume, then yes, we only want to put that for the sake of only getting like 1 page. However, if the university allow you to do CV, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. You can basically just put everything in there.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And on top of that, I just want to add, if you are, going to certain courses that require you to have prerequisite classes, then the section that you want to add in your CV or resume to make sure that you have what they're asking for or looking for is adding the relevant courses section. So you can put relevant courses, and you can put in what are the classes or courses that you think are very relevant and needed from their prerequisite, or if you know the program very well already, it's just to highlight that you have the basics, and you're going for the in-depth. Okay. All right. So last question, I think, from Betari.
I think we have new question as well, but we still have from Beth here.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. I don't know if Santika, if you know it, but okay, let's read it together. Hi, Santika and Pina. This is from Beth. Hi, Beth. Thank you for your question. I once saw there was a summary section in the resume template for a certain US university. Could you explain what should we fill it up with, and is it necessary to have it in our resume? Thank you. So the way I look at it, and because there are, I don't know if it's in Indonesia version of resume or CV. I think it's quite common to have like a summary in there, right? And then I have some advisees come to me and then they put summary, and then the first thing that I tell them, take it out. Because the way I look at it, summary is more if you are applying for a job. So I find it really interesting that you have this question, Beth. If you want to share with us which university that you actually find the summary section that they are asking this, I would be really interested to know. But it is actually quite rare for universities for asking this. But I think we have it on our slide, right, Santika, where we basically just kind of like need to always pay attention to what the university is asking for. And I think this is a good example. So if Beth, if you happen to basically find one or two universities that are asking for a summary section, then yes, we probably want to put summary section. Yeah, go ahead, Santika.
Okay, so I have been browsing for those resources that I've shared, and I actually saw that one or two of the universities put in samples with the, what do we call, summary on top of that. But like I mentioned, because this resource is in their career center, it is intended for their student to try to find jobs. So that's why they probably have that there, to suggest if you want to highlight certain aspect of you that it's maybe not reflected in the rest of the things that's mandatory, then you can just maybe put some powerful sentences in the beginning. But again, for US university applications, we don't think summary is needed. It's not even in the mandatory part, like I've mentioned. Right, Fina?
Yeah. That's actually, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. But what do you think if the university is still asking for a summary section? What do you think it should be? To be completely honest with you, I'm not.
It's
I'm
probably
thinking mention,
It's probably for like PhD to just to say what kind of interests or research interest that you are into and everything like that, if it makes sense.
So Beth, are you applying for a PhD? Beth, if you want to share it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in the PhD, but not for master. But yeah, please do share. It's very interesting to learn on this.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Okay, so we got okay, so Beth basically said just for master's degree.
Okay.
But yeah, no, feel free to consult with us or maybe just consult with Santika. Because see, like Santika even aware of this like summary section. I don't even know, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, feel free to see one of us, Beth, if you want to do so. We got another one from Betari Octavia, a follow-up question. Is there any minimum duration for each role? Because actually there are some stints that last only for 2 months. I thought listing every role and its achievements would be too long. In total, it would be over 5 roles within 2.5 years. My answer is, why not? Especially, hopefully they are asking for CV. And so it's always like, I always favor CV. Well, or maybe not. I like resume actually, because resume, like Santika mentioned in the beginning, basically, like when the university ask for a resume, guys, it means that they want to really review you professionally really quickly, right? That's why resume is only 1 page, because and they have like their own specific structure that we have shown to you guys tonight. And I know it looks boring, right? Like there's no headshot. You need to have just like a normal font with, just like it looks very boring in a way. But then I totally understand why they make it like that. Because for me, when I keep looking at the resume, it just looks very neat overall. Like I can find all the timeline on the right side and then all of the categories on the left side with a bigger font and then sub points of like where you work and all that, where did you go to school and all that. And so resume is basically just like, the intended reader. They only want to kind of like review this application, this one document for no more than 1 minute, right? Whereas with CV, the nice thing about CV is because like there is no page limit. You can basically put anything, everything in there. So basically, if you're planning on making CV, put every single thing in there. Don't worry about like it's being like more than 5 roles or each role only lasts for like about 2 months, like what you have here. But if it's only resume, then yeah, we probably want to kind of like probably just take the roles that you feel like, oh my God, like this is like this, like my strongest point on my, for this position or something like that. So you just probably just pick, again, the reason is for the sake of having only one page limit.
Right.
Do you have anything to add to that, Santika?
Yeah. I have a bit to add on that. So, going back to the part where you have to check for the specific requirements, some universities or programs, to be specific, different programs in same university can ask for different things for your CV or your requirements. But specifically, if the department or the program asks for you to list down all of your employment history, including the gap years, then you will have to include those things. So if that's not the case for you, Battery, to be specific, then you don't have to include the things that you think it's not relevant if it's resume, like Vina said. But if it's CV, then you can just include everything. Okay, that's all from me.
Cool.
Yep.
So, well, basically, we still have 30 minutes to cover, but we seems like we don't have any more questions. But feel free, guys, if you have any questions, even if that's not regarding to resume and CV. And I don't know if you guys are kind of like aware of our session tonight. It's a little bit different. If you've been here before, specifically on this session, how we did it before is because resume and CV is technically very straightforward. In the past, we always combine that with the recommendation letter topic. That's why we normally always cover the entire 2 hours. But this time we want to kind of like separate that and maybe no longer do the monthly session, but probably like once every 2 months. So you can always like keep coming back if there are some new updates that we can update you with when it comes to resume or CV or letters of recommendation. So Santika earlier basically shared with us the upcoming events for this month, and I'm actually really excited. Don't forget, guys, because we usually have the resume session a week before my favorite topic, which is essay, which I am going to present next week. So I'm looking at the participants, and there are a number of my advisees, which thank you guys for coming. Some of you guys have consulted the essay with me, but if you have not joined the essay session before, feel free to join that again next week. But if you guys are watching this for the first time, I definitely would highly recommend you to also like join the essay session next week. So do you have any other question? Seems like none.
So if you guys don't have any questions, but if you have any request on which slide of the presentation to be repeated, or if I went over very quickly and you need more time to maybe look at the link or something like that, just let us know in the question box in Zoom if you're in Zoom. But if not, if you're in other platforms, you can send the questions to the comment box and our team will pass it to us. Okay?
Yeah. And so I don't know, Santika, do you think that our participants tonight are pretty, like, have they done advising with us? Do you see any of your advisees?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of familiar names. Siti here is your advisee.
Yes.
Nurul, I've seen. Oh, Sharon. I think Sharon came in at my time before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the rest of you, if you have other question, maybe not related to CV or resume, maybe we can take that too because we have time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also this month, actually June, is we call it kind of like a quiet month. So as in we don't actually conducting a lot of advising sessions with new people, but we keep getting, like inquiries from people, which is always exciting. But I just want to give you a heads up that, when it comes to like starting, I want to say like starting in August onward, that will be kind of like our busiest time of the year. So if you want, feel free to use this month to actually see Santika or myself. And then yeah, if mostly it's essays, but definitely if you have any like resume or CV that you want us to take a look at, definitely feel free to do that as well. And yeah, this is actually, Santika is asking, are you guys planning for fall 2022? Hopefully, fall 2022. And this is actually the right time. I mean, we've been saying this since January, right, Santika, that if you want to apply for 2022, start now, start now, start now. And then now, 6 months later, definitely it's kind of like the cutoff. Like you definitely need to start like literally now, because especially if you guys have deadlines at the end of the year, you definitely want to start now, right? But I'm glad that I already have like some advisees who have gone and see me.
Yeah.
A
And
couple of
we
months
will
before.
have another pre-departure orientation if you guys are new here.
Oh, that is actually very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fina,
Yeah.
talk about that.
And another reasons why I said that's not really like the time when people kind of like, folks should, but we have pre-departure orientation basically for people who are about to depart to the US this coming fall. So it's actually very exciting because because the event is open for public. You guys are definitely more than welcome to join as well. We're going to email you guys the information on that. So it's going to be in July the 10th, right? Let me make sure. It's going to be in July.
Yep, it's coming up and it's going to be big, and you're going to meet a lot of or most attendees who are already accepted in US universities. And a lot of them actually are LPDP awardees. So if you know LPDP, those schools that they are supporting the students to go are very, very highly selective. So if you are, planning to, and Fulbright as well. So if you are planning to apply to any of those scholarship in any of those universities, then maybe it's a good idea if you come in and try to network. And if you have any questions specifically to their success stories, then you can ask, your questions. I think that's like the only event that allows, people who are still planning to do that, right, Fina? Like once a year, since it's open for public, we invite all of them who are already accepted. Whether it's our advisee or not, we invite everyone who signed up for it. We have the form, so if you know anyone who already accepted and going for fall this year or anytime soon, then you can share our contacts, and if he or she have any questions, then we will do our best to help them answer the questions as well.
And I think the fun part about this event for you guys who are not leaving to the US yet for this year would be the part when we invite Permias and a number of current students who are currently in the US, and then they will talk about their experience being in the US, their application process, the classroom experience, finding housing. So if you kind of want to know more about that from the very early now, about like finding housing, the classroom experience, and all that, definitely join the session. And then the rest would be, like talking about like the visa process. If you also kind of like wonder about that, that would be really, really interesting. And then, of course, we are going to be very busy in the chat Zoom feature because we always want to interact with you guys. So probably you want to, say hi to those who are about to depart to the US. That would be like really interesting.
Yep. So then we have another question from Beth.
Essay, of course.
You love this, Fina.
Is it cool? Oh, is this very cool? I'm here
Yes,
when
of
it comes.
course. Fina will be very happy to answer that. So,
Yeah.
I got question about essay. Is it cool? Of course. If it's cool, the question is, should we put references in our essay? Like when we are talking about numbers, facts about Indonesia, we got it from our source, right? So shouldn't we include references?
Like when you're writing an academic paper, what do you call it? When you kind of like put the reference
Citation?
on like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
citation. Some people kind of like show that to me, and I said, take it out because we are not, it's not like you cannot put it, it's totally okay. But I'm not like a big fan of doing that because it just makes the essay kind of like look very academic paper, and we are not writing an academic paper. And I will explain this more next week, right? But technically we still want to do the mentioning the reference, but just a simple as a sim just saying it like as is. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, according to the World Bank, blah 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 blah. According to that, blah 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 blah. Just like that. You don't have to make like a citation. It's not like they are going to really take a look if you're getting it from like a legit resource. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be
I
different
can't
if.
wait for next week already.
Yeah, exactly. Because I see that our
Mhm.
audience is eager for that section, for that session, Yovina. And
Yeah.
it's going to be different if it's research proposal, right? So that's
Oh
going to be a
yeah.
different thing
Yeah.
on
So if you
stating the
guys want to do
facts.
PhD,
Mhm.
yeah, if you guys want to do PhD, then most likely the university will ask you to submit research proposal,
Mhm.
which Sandika and I, we are unable to read it because it is very like academic and we're not like, confident in doing that. But when it comes to essay, or we call it statement of purpose, then yeah, definitely, let's work together, you and I. And yeah, so if you are still new and you have not done any, like essay session with us, basically you're going to pick either Santika or myself. So we highly recommend you not to kind of like get a feedback from both of us,
Yeah.
because then there are going to be a lot of advices, and we prefer to just only work with one person. So Santika's shift is actually going to be from 1 until 5, right, every day, and then
Yeah.
I will take over the evening slot. Which I don't know, Santika, do you have a lot of high school students, or do you also receive a lot of young professionals, like what our audiences are tonight,
Yeah.
assuming that you are
Yeah,
young professionals?
I totally have more young professionals for master degree. I think it's the same with you as well, right, Fina?
Mm-hmm.
For high school, I have a few advices, but very rare. Like these days, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably just one or two. So yeah.
Yeah.
But guys,
Mm-hmm.
if you have like other questions on what kind of services that we can offer, Fina, I think we didn't talk about that today, right? We didn't talk about
Mm-hmm.
all of the steps today. So we
Mm-hmm.
basically have this 5 steps thing. If you go to our website at america.or.id/educationusa or educationusa.state.gov, you will be faced with 5 steps. So the first one is researching your option. It's basically if you know what you want to study, but you don't know how to research on, which school can offer you the things that you're really looking for, then we are here for you. But of course, you need to know what you want in the first place. You cannot come to us and like, Kavina or Kasantika, aku cocoknya ngambil ini atau itu ya. We cannot give that answer because you will be the one who should be deciding. So you can come to
Mm-hmm.
us once you know what you want to study, and if you have confusion on how to maybe sort them down. Okay, that's for the first step, researching your option. And step two is financing your studies. So whether or not you are going to apply for any scholarship, Fina and I going to be able to give you general informations on scholarships, not in depth on the application, including the essay. Sorry for that, because uh, I think the essay is different, yeah, Fina, yeah, from the U.S. university admission. So yeah, maybe
Mm-hmm.
Vina can talk more on that later. But the third step is where our highlight of our service is located. It's just the completing your U.S. university application. So that will be all of the requirements that we mentioned in the beginning of the slides in the
Mm-hmm.
presentation tonight. which is all of the
Yep.
6 requirements. If you have any questions or need any guidance, then we are here for you. And most importantly, the essay review and the CV and resume review. And if you, and on this also actually intertwine with the second step, if you are like trying to, if you are called for the interview for like Fulbright or LPDP and you know you're a nerve wrack and you feel like I want to practice the interview, then you can come to Fina or me. We can try to give you mock interview, but it will not
Yeah.
be, yeah, it will not be the same nervous level as the real thing, of course.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've been doing this to a number of my advisees, and I would say I love doing the mock interview,
Yeah.
especially assuring you guys that yes, it is nerve wracking, it's very like scary things, but I always keep telling everyone that it is actually not, to the point where I tell them, just like trust me, it's not going to be like that nervous, and then all the time, actually, guys, all the time, every time we did this mock interview, and then they did it, and then they come back to me, share basically with a smile saying that, oh my God, yeah, you were right. It's actually not as scary as I thought it would be. And I was like, yeah, exactly. You don't have to, be
That's what I
nervous,
said, right, Fina?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we
But
can do the mock
mhm,
interview on, on the scholarship things, but like the essay for the scholarship, we just find it it's quite different from the U.S. university thing. So we just don't want to
mhm,
confuse you on, what are they looking for, because we are not in the same institution as those scholarship
yeah.
giver, so we don't want to confuse you with our standard of the U.S. university admission, right?
And then and again, because I think now more and more people aware of Education USA at America being, like we able to take a look at your essay and everything, to the point where no, it's this year, right, Santika, when the Fulbright
Yeah, this
deadline is
year.
coming up, we heard that there are some people kind of like, oh yeah, just go to Education USA at America to get
It's
your
very
Fulbright
last
essay
minute.
looked at. And then very last minute, we want to say probably like, I don't know, like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week before the deadline, we keep receiving a lot of emails that we don't know about this person. I mean, like they've never done any advising with us. And then they just email us basically, hey, please take a look at my essay. And of course, guys, can you guess what the answer Santika and I gave? It's a
We don't
no,
have
because
enough time.
exactly. And also, I keep telling people this, right? Like, um, what Santika and I do, we love what we do. And, it's not just like a matter of you guys coming and, okay, what do you have? Essay. Okay, and then I'm reading your essay, and then, okay, bye, right? It's all about rebuilding connections, right? Because it's pretty similar to like when you apply to the universities, and this is like what makes the US universities really different than other countries. It's not just like business like when you submit all the applications and then they give you the
Yes or no?
acceptance or not. When it comes to the US, that's why the word holistic, I don't know if you've mentioned that tonight, Santika, the word
I did.
holistic is really, really important. This is like the key word here when it comes to the application to the US, because they are all about like personal approach. So then you can think of you seeing Santika or I like that as well, right? So it's not like, that's why like when I have like new advisors coming in, you don't have to kind of like, because there are some people like, okay, I want to see you, Fina, or I want to see you, Santika. What are the things that I have to prepare? And I said, you don't have to prepare anything. If you just kind of like want to share with me the story of, oh, hey, look, I want to apply like maybe like in 2-3 years. That's fine. Just like at least let's have a chat and let's build connection. Yeah, right. So the more often you come see us, the more we remember about specifically your essay, and it's the easier, at least for me, to kind of like keep remembering what you have written. And so it's easier for me to kind of like, oh yeah, no, I remember last time you said this. How about we said this, right? And so yeah, no, that being the case, I will be available starting tomorrow until, basically I don't have anything else. So I will standing by in Zoom. So for some of my advisees who couldn't get in touch with me, I will be available tomorrow from 5 until 9. And then Santika from 1 until 5.
Yeah. So the thing is, after that, The next thing that I want to talk about, still connecting to the last minute request that we receive, regardless of if it's, you know, scholarship essay or US application essay like personal statement or statement of purpose or personal essay. If you come to us first time for essay review 1 week before your deadline, there's nothing much we can do for you. Like, even if we try to give you feedback, which I tried, I think it was like 1 week before or a few days before the deadline. I did my best to give my input, and the advisee couldn't make the revision because he or she didn't have enough time. Because it's the first time you come in, and I think it's quite a shock too. If you come in for your first essay review, you shouldn't be expecting that your essay is close to perfect. Of course, you make the best draft that you can and show it to us. But when you come to Fina and
What would
me,
you normally say, Santika? Like when there are people come in and their
1 week.
deadline is like, I don't know, like 2 weeks. What would you
Uh,
say?
I would say we don't have enough time, because then even if I can give you an input, are you confident that you can make the revision and show me that you make that improvement? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
what's the use of you coming to any advisors for an input if you cannot make maybe like make it better after that, you know? But
Yeah,
then
I got
yeah,
that down.
it's going to be a
Mhm.
waste of time for the advisee, especially not so much on me, but then um, it's just, I think you can do something better with that time and not making yourself
Mhm.
doubt yourself. So if you don't come to
Yeah.
us 1 week before, we don't give you any input, you will not doubt your essay like, oh my god, this is not good enough and everything like that. But if you come to us, or Fina or
Yeah.
me, then we give you some input. Maybe you can, change this part or make this part better. I don't think this is ready. And it's 1 week
Yeah.
before. There's nothing much you can
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hate doing that as well
Yeah.
because
It's just
I
kind of
don't
a
know if you have like
discouraging,
some.
right? And
Yeah,
that's
and I
not
don't
what
know
we
how
do.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know how exactly you're saying to the advisee in the situation, Santika. But for me, like I'm very straightforward, right? Like I'll be like, "Are you sure you want me to take a look at it? Are you ready on what I'm gonna say?" Because I'm very honest. Like I don't want to say that if
Yeah.
I think that the essay is not ready, and then I say, "It's okay," I will say it. Like no, this is not. And then another thing, and this is like why I look forward to the session next week
Mm-hmm.
when we cover about the essay is that we are very particular when it comes to essay, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for quite some times now, where basically I'm going to say it again over and over again next week, where basically when you want me to be your, I don't know what do you call it, like if you want me to kind of like be the advisor who worked with you on the essay, you better you kind of like have to follow the recipe that I find throughout the years of me being here for like the past 5-6 years. So I'm very particular on what I actually really expect to be in the essay. So they are, and then the nice thing about you seeing me very early in the day is because I'm going to give you a hard time. Like I'm just saying it right now. I'm going to give you a hard time, but it's going to be so worth it. And then you can basically,
Guys,
ask that a lot of advisors are thinking are saying the same thing, that always all the time they said, yeah, it's so worth it. It's really hard. Writing essays is really hard. But so yeah, I'm going to give you guys a hard time, but again, it's so worth it. And the nice thing about you coming to see me or Santika like early in the day is because there will be some point when you don't want to see me. You're probably to the point where, oh my God, I really hate to see Fina right now, because probably she will say, no, this essay is not ready. So when you do it like very early, you can kind of like take a break, right, from actually doing essays. And I see a lot of my advisees doing that. There are a number of my advisees currently that I have not seen for, I think, like a month, because they want to take a break. They have been coming in since like January, February. Their deadline is not until the end of the year. So they have plenty of times, but they already work on the essay. And then I start to see more and more people coming to see me for having their essays checked. And I see some of my advisees in the room. So yeah, keep it up. And if this is your first time, I really encourage you to come see myself or Santika. Again, we are available every day. Pick one of us if you want to be like, if you find that the earlier shift, which is 1 to 5 convenient for you, then you can see Santika. If not, then you can see me in the evening. All right? Santika, are you there? Probably not, and that's okay. But so yeah, I think we are 5 minutes for closing. I just basically wanted to say thank you guys for joining the session. Again, please do check out our upcoming events. But you will definitely going to receive notification from us a couple of days before the event. So yeah, if you can calendar that same day, same time next, we're going to the essay session with me. Basically, there's presentation slides. I'm going to try this for the second time now, and I love the first session. No presentation slides. This is a completely new. Before, it's always like all presentation. So yeah, I'm going to basically just kind of like talk and and then you can ask questions and you can cover more on essay. Or if you have any questions about resume or CV, basically if you have the time, then feel free to do that. All right. But resume and CV is kind of like straightforward. And then we're also going to cover about letters of recommendation the week after, if I'm not mistaken. I think yeah. And so yeah, I look forward to that as well. And then I think we're going to have a new session on kind of like the timeline if you want to apply for master's degree, graduate degree in general. So I think it's going to be also interesting because I want to say that in Education USA at America, I want to say probably like about the majority of you guys are young professionals who want to do master's or PhD. So we have a lot of events for you guys. And then comes July onward, things are definitely getting more interesting because we're going to invite a number of our successful advisees to basically share with us their experience, what they hate about Education USA at America when they come see me or Santika, what they love about the service and everything. So we're going to cover everything, guys. So it's going to be very exciting.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I have shared the Zoom meeting ID for our advising room in the chat box. And if you guys just tune in and you guys are not in Zoom, I'm going to read the Zoom meeting ID 276-124-396 between 1 until 9 p.m. Fina or me will be there. So you can, ask questions and plan your US studies. And yeah, I think that's it today. And you can check our
thank you so much,
events on the
Santika, for
website.
covering the
Yeah,
topic
thank you
tonight.
so much, Fina, and everyone here, and those who are watching from all other platforms. We appreciate your time, and we hope to see you in our next event. And you can check it on our website. I already provided also in the Zoom chat box, but it's as easy as @america.or.id/educationusa. All right. Fina, do you have any last words, or should I just pass it to our America team?
All good.
Okay.
Again, thank you guys for joining the session, and then I look forward on having you guys again next week.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and we are giving it back to the America team. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much to Kak Vina and Kak Santika. It was really informative. Earlier in this event, we asked our audience, the question was, true or false GPA stands for grade point average? The answer is true. Grade point average or GPA is a numeric indicator for a student's academic performance. Shout out to Rahmayanti Novitasari from Facebook for answering correctly. Thank you so much for everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time to get a live shout out from us. Also, I would like to remind you the giveaway we have. It's an iPad Pro. If you are interested to find out more, visit our link at atam.tv/mask to unmask. Alright everyone, now you may be wondering how can I develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Easy. You can send your event proposal to us by visiting our website at www.america.or.id, select create a program, and go collaborate with us. All of your event proposals will be reviewed soon and your event might be featured here. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter to get our weekly event updates. Alright everyone, that wraps this episode. Don't forget to follow our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at AT America, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Aninda, and see you next time.